Well, it has been a minute, but a Victory Monday edition of the Joe Thomas half hour of the program is upon us. HOF, Monday tastes a little bit better with a win. What were your opening thoughts watching the Browns go to Vegas and take care of business on Sunday afternoon?
My opening thoughts are joy is back in Browns Nation because we finally had a team that was fun to watch, and offense pushing the ball down the field, defense doing their thing. But, it always feels good to win, of course. But just having a team that's fun to watch, that you can put out there, that you can sit around with your family, and they give you all the feels that you want. And, of course, the happy ending when it's all said and done is what everybody's looking for. And so what a beautiful Sunday. What a great way to start my Thanksgiving week.
You said it. HOF, this is what I want to ask. As an offensive lineman, when you have a quarterback who can hit some big plays, and by the way, the Browns' 3 longest pass plays of the season all occurred in this game against the Raiders. What does that do for the offense? Now, I think we'll get into, there are things in the middle of the game that we probably want to smooth out a little bit, but the big plays I thought were just so massive. And the throw to Isaiah Bond, I thought almost kind of changed how you feel about this team full stop. That one play, you're like, okay, here we go.
There are a few teams in the history of the NFL, especially recent memory, that can go 5, 6, 7 yards down the field and score consistently, at least enough to be able to win the game. So you have to have an explosive element within your team. You need to hit 3 to 5 big explosive plays during a game for 2 reasons. One, because that's how teams score in the NFL, right?
Yep.
It's so hard to do it 15 play drives and go all the way down because all it takes is 1 sack, 1 penalty, 1 minus yard run, and the drive is pretty much stopped. The other thing is that's where about half of your scores usually come from, is those big plays, whether they are big throws or big runs that set up either a field goal, or now you're not in the red zone and you have an opportunity to score a touchdown, or they just score outright. And it is so important for that reason, but also because it gives your team hope. It gives your team excitement. It gets the boys on the sideline fired up. It gets your defense playing harder because they feel like, hey, our team on offense is going to score from anywhere on the field, and they're going to put us right back in it. So everybody on the team still has that belief, no matter what the score is. And I think that's so important, right? For a team that is a little bit overmatched at times throughout the season, depending on the opponent. If the game is a 1-score game, or maybe it's a 10-point game, you got to have that belief on the sideline to get the most out of everybody, pushing all the way till the finish line, because they believe that, oh, bang, 2 or 3 plays, we're right back in this, guys, right? And that's the message you sell on the sideline. When you see those great plays like that, they give you joy, they give you hope, and they give you belief to continue to drive and grind all the way through the finish in every single game.
HOF, Nathan and I talked about this earlier in the show, but he deserves a lot of credit in how far he came in a week. We talked about this. He didn't drift. He didn't drift in the pocket. He didn't turn his back to the defense. He didn't do some of the things that he did in that first half of play. And we heard about how he had prepared this week as a starter, really took to it. And then he applied it on the field. And he deserves, I think, a ton of credit, because this did not in any way look the way it looked last time out.
Absolutely. I mean, you look back to the criticisms of him from college, and then preseason, and then in his half of work then against the Baltimore Ravens 2 weeks ago. And it was the same bad habits over and over again, right? If you don't see the defense clearly, you don't quite understand the blitz concepts. His tendency was always to just keep backing up, trying to make a play and then trying to escape. And, sometimes you can get away with that in college, but because the guys are so much bigger, faster, stronger here in the NFL, as soon as you drift and you back up, unless your name's Lamar Jackson, you're getting sacked. And a 15-yard loss, I mean, you may as well just punt on the next play. I don't really care what's going on, because, 2nd and 25, 3rd and 25, you just have no ability to overcome that. And so he deserves a ton of credit for, 1, not taking into those big sacks, 2, being much more confident, seeing the defense and understanding hey, maybe this was supposed to be a deep dig in the middle of the field, or we were supposed to throw a post or whatever it was, but hey, that guy's not open. Make a quick decision and throw the football away, or throw it to somebody that's checked down in the flat, or maybe hit Harold Fannin for 0 and just let him go get some yards for you. So I thought the decision-making was much faster. And for a quarterback to make the amount of progress that he made from what we saw 2 weeks ago in Baltimore to where we were yesterday is incredible, because that's not an easy thing to do, is to overcome and to change the bad habits that you've had for probably your entire life as a quarterback.
Yeah.
I just thought, one of the things we talked about was he had to be prepared to be blitzed, to be zero blitzed. After he saw the Ravens do it and it completely, got him, it flummoxed him, all of that, he had to be prepared. And then how about the first big play, which was the one that I think really kind of made everybody say, oh, okay, the first big play is from Shedeur to Isaiah Bond. It's a zero blitz. He knows there's going to be a free runner. He gets out to the right and then makes an incredible throw on the run to get the football to Isaiah Bond. That play, just that evolution. He went from 0 for 6 against the blitz to this week he was 2 of 5 for 69 yards, 14 yards an attempt. And you're not going to hit them all. That's kind of the point of the blitz, but that's where you can hit some big plays. And then the other thing I loved is when he was clean in this game, 67% completions, 10 yards an attempt, quarterback rating of 137.7. If you can be good when you're clean, that's one of the things that really extrapolates out. But then when you can also beat the blitz, make plays, that changes things. I thought that was just such a great, in a 1 week, the evolution that we saw from, to your point, hanging in the pocket, the way that he stepped up on the one, the Harold Fannin for that on the against all odds 3rd and 12. There was a lot of just, you saw progress that I thought was exciting.
Absolutely. And talking about that big play to Isaiah Bond, it was so good for me. I mean, I jumped out of my chair with excitement. I was screaming because if we would have seen that play 2 weeks ago, if we would have seen that in preseason, what would Shedeur have done? He probably would have backed up, trying to create space and time, but there's no room, there's no free space behind you in the NFL because the guys off the edge, they're running to that spot, and they're a lot faster running forward than you are backwards. But for him in that moment to recognize the blitz, understand where the escape was to his right, to be able to create enough time for him to throw the football down the field was awesome. And you saw the payoff, right? Because when teams blitz, they got guys in man coverage on the outside that are playing tight because they can't give away any of those quick, hot throws. So they're thinking the ball is either going to come out pretty quickly or we're going to sack this guy. And so for him to be able to create some time and space getting outside the pocket, it makes coverage impossible, especially when you got a guy like Isaiah Bond that's fast, because that guy's running right through the defense. And with the arm that Shedeur has and his accuracy, he could hit Isaiah in stride 60 yards down the field. And all you have to do is hit one or two of those, and a defensive coordinator's butt is going to be puckered because he doesn't want that thing to happen again. And then now you're going to get a lot more of those vanilla coverages. And so it goes hand in hand, being able to hurt people over the top and then being able to chunk them down the field. Like those things can only happen when you're able to convincingly throw the football down the field and make a defense pay.
Well, and it happened. So coming into this game, you had to think, so their average blitz rate for the year was 27%, the Raiders. Coming into the game, I think they were going to blitz a lot. That was probably a part of their game plan. And after that one, they really didn't blitz much. He was only blitzed 5 of his dropbacks in the game, 23.8% on the dropback percentage. That means that scared them. They knew our receivers could beat their corners, and Shedeur could make those throws and was willing. We haven't always been willing to make that throw.
Absolutely. And I think the important thing too is like you're getting your receivers excited, right? It's hard for a receiver to run 40, 50 yards down the field at a dead sprint 20 or 30 times a game, especially if they're not even getting a look. But now that they're getting looks, like we used to call those for the love of the game routes, when you got these receivers that are just trying to take the top off the defense. They're trying to create space for those intermediary and short throws. And, it's not a lot of fun sometimes to have to just go be a track star on the outside. But when you're getting the football, one, it makes the defense scared, but two, it excites your receivers and it gets them to run their routes harder, right? All these things, they go hand in hand. And the progress that Shedeur made in this game is just making everybody on the offense better.
Yeah, and now we get the news earlier this afternoon that he will, in fact, start. He'll make his home starting debut against the 49ers this week. Could be some elements in this one. Could be snow.
Raucous.
Could be, it's going to be raucous. It's going to be elements. He played in that in Boulder, though. He played on natural grass in Boulder in the elements. That's no surprise for him in terms of what he will see. But this one is going to have a vibe to it, Hoff. I mean, for a team like ours that's, quite honestly, we're not playing for much in terms of can't play in the postseason, those type of things. But good grief, from his vantage point, I cannot recall a late November game with this type of atmosphere that what he's going to see on Sunday.
The joy is back, gentlemen, and I'll be there. I'm so excited. The wife, she looked at the calendar and said, "Hey, I really want to go to a Browns game. I want to take the kids. Let's go to that 49ers game." And this was something we decided like a month ago. But
really,
hey,
yes,
the good Lord loves us because the stars are aligning.
Good things happen to good people,
atmosphere. Oh man, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun in that stadium because, like you said, you're not playing for the playoffs, but there's so much on the line because we're watching a guy that could be our franchise quarterback next year. And then maybe if he becomes a dude, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, because obviously there was a lot of mistakes that were still made, and he's got a lot of growth that still needs to happen. But, hey, it's kind of fun and exciting to think about, hey, maybe this is our quarterback, and what can we do then with those 2 first-round picks we got next year and this great draft class that we had of rookies this year? Like, the pieces are falling into place a little bit, and it kind of gets you excited.
He's a lottery ticket. That's what we described it as after they drafted him. He's a 5th-round pick. He was your second quarterback. He said post-game, everybody in the league passed on me 5 times.
Yep.
Like, everybody did. So, like, if he hits, it changes everything. And, it's easy to get excited now.
Yeah.
But he also had that talent in the pre-draft process. Everybody on tape.
We loved him.
He was a top 35 player on the tape. So it was just everything else that had him drop to the 5th round. And the tape's the tape, and the tape holds up, and the tape looked how it looked on Sunday.
I mean, he has the upside. There's a lot. Look, we went through, unfortunately, we'll talk about it. We haven't even talked about our defense, which I spend a great deal of time on, I'm sure. But we went through a lull in the second and third quarters where I don't think we really even had a first down. So there are little things that need to be ironed out, and there are kind of some of the layups need to be layups, things like that. But he's got that big play element, and he has the ceiling to be that. So my thought process is I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be an excellent backup quarterback in this league for a very, very long time. But we're looking for that guy. Shador's the one guy who has that kind of upside. And by the way, remember all the questions, his arm's not good enough? That was 55 yards in the air off balance. Plenty fine.
I never even understood that coming out. Like, he made those deep throws all the time at Colorado. Like, I never understood, like, the arm talent. That was always there, abound.
Yeah. No, it was certainly on display. I thought, again, I think that he's got that kind of potential, and so you want to see it. There will be ups and downs. Like, he's a rookie quarterback still who had a big learning curve coming to the NFL, but the top-level good, I'll say it again, the 3 longest pass plays of the Cleveland Browns season came on his 20 pass attempts in this one game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, talking about arm strength, I kind of laugh. It's like, the guy throws a great spiral with accuracy, 65 yards down the field on the run. Like, how much more do you want? I mean, maybe he can't throw it 75 yards, but how often does that ever happen in a game?
Right.
So, like, to me, I think that was kind of silly, and you saw it right there. As long as you can throw the ball over the defense's head when you got a guy that's within 4 seconds of the line of scrimmage running on a dead sprint like Isaiah Bond did, you're going to be scaring defenses, and that's all you need. And so I'm super excited about this guy because of the progress he made. I think it was above and beyond what anybody ever expected. And if he can continue to improve on some of the other little things, some of the other mistakes that he made, like, this is going to be a fun offense to watch the rest of the season. And as fans, this is what we deserve, right? For hanging around all season, watching football that wasn't that much fun. Fun football is back.
Yeah, it is. It's always fun watching this defense. We've run out of superlatives for your buddy Miles, but 18 sacks in 11 games, that's the most in NFL history, passes Gastineau's pace. He's obviously on pace to annihilate the sack record. He has 14 sacks in his last 5, which I don't even know how that makes any damn sense at all, Hoff. I really don't know what to make of this. Now, obviously the Raiders up front, Robert Gallery's not walking through that door. Like, they've got some issues up front. But this was feast season. And honestly, Hoff, if he would have played in the last series where they were throwing it, I think he would have got another one. How do you explain this level of dominance we're seeing?
I mean, it's impossible to give it proper context other than to say he's the best, most feared defensive pass rusher the NFL has ever seen. I said that back in the offseason, got a little bit of pushback because, Reggie White was pretty good. Lawrence Taylor was pretty good. Bruce Smith. There's been a lot of great pass rushers over the years, but watching those guys, not playing against those other guys, I can confidently say that nobody puts more fear into offensive tackles' minds than Myles Garrett. I mean, played against him when he was a rookie and was my last season. He was already one of the best pass rushers I went against, and he's taken steps every single year he's been in the league to improve on what he did. And so for a guy that has elite strength, speed, lateral quickness, and then he bends like nobody else I've ever seen, it's impossible to block him. I saw one of his best reps was actually a rep he didn't get a sack on towards the end of the game, where he kind of did a little bit of a jab step to the inside, beat the tackle off the snap with perfect timing, and then he dipped like he was like a little yard gnome or something, like two inches off the ground, maybe 2 feet off the ground. So even if the offensive tackle would have anticipated and got back a little bit earlier than he was supposed to, he still wouldn't have been able to block Miles because he gets so low and he turns that corner and he dips with ankle bend that we've never seen before except for Gumby. I mean, it's just fun to watch that guy. And to think that anybody would even try to block him one-on-one, I don't care if you got an all-pro out there at left tackle. It's just a bad matchup.
Myles Garrett sacks this season, 18. Myles Garrett's last 4 games, 13. Brian Burns, 13. Danielle Hunter, 11. Those are your sack leaders in the NFL right now. I'll say it again. Myles Garrett's last 4 games would be leading the NFL with 13
just
sacks.
In 4.
He also has, in those last 4 games, 16 tackles for a loss. I would like to remind people that the last 3 years in the league, the leaders in tackles for loss were Max Crosby and Myles Garrett with 22, 23, and 22 respectively. He's at 18 sacks, 26 tackles for loss. He will most likely become only the second player to ever have 30 tackles for loss in a season, and he's within reach of going after.
Yeah.
I mean, his last 4 games, he had 16. He's got 6 more games. I mean, he could
easily, yeah.
He could get to 40.
Take down JJ. Yeah.
It's incredible. 10 sacks for the team. And, Huff, you watch it, the interior pressure is so good and quick. And on some of these, guys are even beating Myles to the quarterback. There are reps where, somebody could have a perfect rep and somebody else is already at the quarterback. It is incredible what's going on up front, not to mention the blitzes that Jim Schwartz is dialing up. We're getting Devin Bush looping around. We had Grant loop around a couple times. I mean, it feels like on our sacks, it's rarely, it does happen from time to time where one guy wins and this gets the sack, but it's usually like there's a meeting at the quarterback and we're trying to decipher how are they going to kind of allocate this one. 4 guys were there. What would you do? And this is the first time we get to just purely know they're dropping back. He had 5 against New England. We got beaten pretty bad ultimately in that game.
Right.
He got 4 against Baltimore. We were ultimately beaten pretty bad in that game.
Yeah, this is the first time when we've been ahead and he's been able to feast.
Yeah, well, they're going to pass.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It speaks a little bit to the importance of rush and coverage working together, because having some great cornerbacks and great coverage is important so the quarterback hangs onto the football a little bit longer, but also having some line mates like he does right now that are also able to get to the quarterback, it puts the offensive coordinator and the offensive line in a conundrum because they're not exactly sure who to single up. Obviously, you have to try to double Myles and put the slide to his direction, but it's not like that's assured that now you got a solid protection. Typically, if you leave an extra blocker or 2 in the protection, you're going to have somewhat of a solid protection to be able to throw the ball down the field. But to have those other defensive linemen like we do that can also get to the quarterback and are going to win more than their fair share of one-on-ones has really allowed us to now appreciate how great Myles is, because he's been beating dudes like a drum like this most of his career. But a lot of times you just don't notice it as much because either the ball's getting out quickly because the coverage is not that good, or they're able to just add extra blockers to Myles because they're not as worried about those other guys getting to the quarterback.
First of all, I want a note for him. Malik Collins had 2.5 sacks, a fumble recovery. He now has a career high 6.5 sacks a season. He doesn't even get mentioned, even though he's been, I think, one of the best under the radar free agent signings in the entire NFL. He's perfect for what we do. I hope he's here for a long time. Mike Hall's back and looking good. Mason Graham's coming
along big time. They had the one where him and Malik collapsed the interior of the line. They just
double pancake.
Crazy.
Yeah, they just threw guys on their backs.
It's nuts.
It was completely nuts. But this is Pro Football Focus. So 10 sacks, we know. 43 pressures the Browns generated in this game. 40. You wouldn't give up 43 pressures in 4 seasons, Hoff. This is, have you ever even heard of it? I talked to Isaiah McGuire earlier. He laughed. He's like, I've never been in a game where we had 10 sacks at any level.
No, I felt sorry for Gino.
I have a lot of respect for him.
He stood in there
up, and he made some big-time throws under duress in that game. He
stood in there and holy cow.
But 43 pressures? What's the film room session for them like, for that offensive line?
Well, that's why they don't have a coordinator.
I was going to say they fired the coordinator, so hopefully that means that they have plausible deniability. Wow, it was the coordinator's fault. He's not here. Let's move on to the next week. We're on to Cleveland, or we're on to Cincinnati, whoever the hell we got next.
That's just an unbelievable. 43 pressures.
That's what it felt like, though. It felt like every time he dropped, there were people on him like that. It just were on him. And it's the other part of this. We mentioned Mason there. There is now – this is a rookie class.
Oh, man.
And look, there's been a lot of criticism of Andrew. Obviously, it's been talked about for a while. This is a rookie class with Schlesinger, who's playing like an all-pro.
He's going to be the defensive rookie of the year.
You got Judkins, who is just a stud. All of a sudden, Sampson comes along yesterday and shows the explosiveness that they loved with him at Tennessee. They hit him on the swing pass for the longest pass of the season. Takes it 66 yards. Yep. Isaiah Bond is not a draft pick, but is a rookie. And we've been talking all season about how he gets open deep. It's there. Fannin, let alone. I mean, it's just these young guys, they're really coming along. And this is looking like a real game-changing group of rookies for this team.
I mean, you talk about, and it's not even done because in reality, you still have a first-round pick next year that would be a part of, quote-unquote, not this rookie class, but of this year's assets was added to that. So you have another future first. The signing of Malik Collins, the trade of Greg Newsome, who has now been benched in Jacksonville, coach's decision for Tyson Campbell, who is I love that
player.
guy.
Nice
now, they caught a couple balls on him this game, but he was right there.
Yeah.
He's physical in the run game. He had one where he just went in the backfield and stoned Ashton Genty. It's been a banner kind of offseason in that regard. Now, we should have more wins. We don't, so that's the kind of way that you're judged. But there's been a lot of things that were done that were very good. But this rookie class, your leading rusher, Fannin, your leading receiver, Bond should have 5 of those catches already this year. Shador showing things. Gabriel, I think, is going to be an organizational asset. Whether he's probably not the answer, but I think he's that's a crazy amount of contribution from one rookie class, and that's kind of how you turn things around. You get a little bit of a foundation of guys now that are going to be here for a while.
Yeah, you always think about when teams and their media are telling the story of a championship season, right? They always go back to, all right, what was the turning point? And typically they're pointing to a draft class like the ones the Browns had this year that completely flipped the culture. It flipped the expectations, and it gave you a solid group of players all across the board, from maybe all pro guys, Pro Bowl guys, to solid starters, to, like you mentioned, Dylan Gabriel, who could be an amazing backup for the Browns for a long time, who's that super reliable guy, super smart. He's always prepared. He's always ready. And this was a fun draft class. I mean, you had no idea what it was going to look like, but when you're getting contribution and really good quality starting minutes out of 5-6 guys in your draft class, I mean, that's the type of draft class that flips a franchise perspective and expectations and puts them in the right direction to have a long period of sustained success.
Yeah, it really does. This can be a game. It could have been a game-changing draft, and as Z mentioned, more to come because you're going to pick up another first-rounder this year that'll be a part of that draft class as well. Time for your Trench Report, brought to you by Big Fig, the mattress made for more, crafted in Cleveland, just like our Browns. What are you seeing from your guys up front week to week? How about this performance yesterday against a Raiders team? Max Crosby made some plays late in this one, Hoff, but other than that, and by the way,
he's a stud.
He is a stud. In the when we were in the Wildcat with Quinshawn, that was like automatic yards every time we ran that.
That's our best run play right now.
It really is,
It kind of makes it 11 on 11 in the run game. You know, that is I like that. I want more of that. That is an effective thing.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of times you can't really make the Wildcat a huge staple of what you do because at some point everybody knows, all right, they're running the ball with this guy and we're going to load up. But the fact that the Browns offensive line and tight ends were able to consistently get push and open up holes and allow Shador to step off the field, which I think it's important for a rookie, right? To not put him into every critical situation and to have some easy buttons in critical moments, like you get down to the goal line or those short yardage situations. And to be able to have that reliability of putting Quinshawn in there in the Wildcat to get reliable yards, to get the scores that you need in those situations, I think that was great. And I think Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, should get a lot of credit for the game plan he put together here because he got Shador on the move with a lot of rollouts, giving him an opportunity to take advantage of his skill set when he's throwing on the run. He was creative, being able to put some of those Wildcat plays in there so that Quinshon Judkins was able to get some easy yards behind that big offensive line who played well in this game. And you weren't putting everything on Shador, so he doesn't have so many different situations he has to learn in 1 week, taking snaps with the first team offense during practice. And I thought, all of that combined really made for an offense that worked well when you think of, all right, this is a rookie and his first time starting. What can we do to make an offense that fits with his strengths and then also takes a little bit of the pressure off him by putting more pressure on my offensive line. I think I heard a report that Ethan Posick was kind of doing most of the line calls, kind of taking that off of Shador's plate, so making that a little bit easier for him. And then having some cool protections that they didn't show as much of during the season, like little half rolls, little play action runs where it looks like you're running an inside zone one way and then the whole offensive line flips their hips and kind of pins everybody inside, allows Shador to roll outside, get outside the pocket and break contain. So overall, I think the offensive performance was not perfect, but I think the game plan for this week or this last week was absolutely perfect, and they did a great job of highlighting their strengths.
All right, let's hand out some game balls. Non-Shador game ball for you, Z.
On offense?
Yep.
I'll give it to Isaiah Bond. I like he's a guy that I've liked. I like his ability to run. He's been open for these plays in the past. The ball just has never gotten to him or even been thrown to him. And so it was good to see kind of that reward for him and for all the things that he has done. And by the way, it's also just a nice little feather in Dylan Sampson's cap that he will be a weird trivia question if it ever becomes one.
Yeah.
He caught not only the first touchdown pass from Shador Sanders, but also from Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, that's right.
Which is kind of a weird little coincidence.
That is. Hoff, who do you got? Game ball offense.
Non-Shador, you say?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, I would go Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, he continues to impress. He was an important safety valve for Shador on a number of plays. They did a great job dialing up just easy completions to him and then just give him the ball and let him run after the catch, which is something that a lot of tight ends don't do very well, but he's turned into just an incredible weapon for them, not only catching the football down the field, he's a solid blocker, but he's a guy that can get some yards if you dump it down to him on either a tight end screen or just a quick little safety valve after he kind of helps the tackle in protection. And to have a comfort level with your quarterback where your quarterback kind of knows, hey, I can just dump it to this guy for at the line of scrimmage or even behind the line of scrimmage, and he's going to go get me some yards. Like, that's great. And that gives Shador confidence knowing that he doesn't have to win the game on every single throw trying to push the ball down the field.
All right, Hoff, we'll stay with you. Non-Miles defensive game ball.
Carson Schlesinger, man, 11 tackles, 1 TFL, 6 solo tackles. Like, he just continues to impress and raise the bar every single week for a rookie linebacker. He does not look like he's a rookie out there. And without a doubt, he'll be on the all-rookie team. And, I mean, he's going to be up for a rookie defensive player of the year because he's been such an impactful player for us. And he's been just sideline to sideline, a steady tackler, smart and heady, getting the defense lined up with coverage, and a big part of their blitzing concepts being able to get guys in the right gaps and also blitzing himself.
I'm going to go with Isaiah McGuire. Career-high 10 pressures in this game with Alex Wright out. Then Aiden Huntington goes down, who had been playing defensive end. You know, you're down to those guys. And I just think he's been phenomenal. And, you know, we've extended Alex Wright now. I think Isaiah McGuire is another guy who could maybe get extended at the end of going into next season. But it was just impressive. You could give it to, honestly, Malik deserves one. Maybe you'll give it to him. Mason, they all deserve one. Devin Bush was spectacular again. I mean, this was just a fun,
really was,
defensive performance to watch.
All right, Hoff. What do we have? Deer season? Is that what you're up to this past weekend?
Yeah.
Are we bow or are we rifle? What are we doing?
Yeah, the rifle season started on Saturday, so I had the traditional Wisconsin deer camp experience with the family and had the uncles and the grandpas and the kids all out there, and nobody shot any deer, so the deer families left the woods with a lot of happiness versus a normal opening weekend. But we had a lot of fun. We were cooking up the HOF beef. My dad was on the grill. He's an excellent chef. And the kids had a great time. We had beautiful weather, and life was good, especially coming home. We cut the Christmas tree, made it back in time for the Browns game, and watched the Browns play great. I mean, it was just an amazing weekend. You can't draw it up any better than that.
Now, we won't talk to you ahead of Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts? What's the big plan? What's the game plan for the food on Turkey Day?
Yeah, so I got an amazing text from the wife. Typically an amazing text from the wife sounds a little bit differently. But this amazing text from the wife was, hey, honey, nobody really likes turkey, so we'll have your dad do a turkey just so he got it in the middle as a centerpiece. But why don't you cook up some of that HOF beef? You can slice it thin, make everybody happy. And I said, hey, babe, I was waiting for that text for a little while.
Make Thanksgiving great again.
Don't worry, I already had one tucked away in the freezer. We're going to do like a big chuck roast. When you do the full blood Wagyu chuck roast, it's still super tender and marbled. So it's a little bit different than what most people think of a roast. You know, like when I was a kid, my grandpa would make a roast and I'd roll my eyes like, oh, great, here we go. We got the like the select graded chuck roast that you're going to have to chew for a half hour for each bite. But no, this stuff it melts in your mouth, and I'm super excited. I just pulled it out today. It looks like the most beautiful marbled tenderloin, strip loin that you've ever seen. There's just veins of delicious marbling going all the way through it. And I'm already like thinking about biting into that first bite and just letting it melt into my mouth as a buttery, melty piece of steak, delicious Wagyu. And everyone's going to be so happy that they don't have to choke down any turkey this year.
Thank you. By the way, we've been going on a press box tour now, and everybody it was a Thanksgiving dinner in the Vegas press box. Like, it's coming on Thursday. Number one, number two, we don't need any more of it.
No, it's not on a menu.
No, that's what I said. There's no restaurants for it.
No, there isn't.
They don't exist.
All right, Hoff. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Plenty of restaurants with Hoff beef.
You will, when that happens. All right, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Yes, dude.
We'll see you this weekend. Thanks, Hoff. That's the Joe Thomas half hour of the program, and that, kids, is Cleveland Browns Daily. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.